Hi everyone, I'm Chris Hernandez and this is the Weekly Report, a look at news from the city of Kansas City, Missouri. You don't need a DeLorean to travel back in time to see a solar eclipse, but you may feel like you did at the Shoal Creek Living History Museum. The last time the Kansas City area experienced a total solar eclipse was in 1806, but on August 21st, the eclipse will cross the museum property and you can be there. The grounds are open from 6:30 in the morning so that you can be in place and ready to go for that eclipse, which peaks at about 1:08 p.m. For just $10 per vehicle, you can have access to the entire Shoal Creek Living History Museum, plus you'll have a prime spot for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Viewing glasses will be provided. Viewing parties will also be held at the City Market and Union Station. If you're not attending a viewing party, be sure to avoid watching the eclipse without the proper safety glasses. If you are driving, be sure to make plans to pull off the road into a parking area rather than just stopping on the highway to look up. Next, an update on the KCI Terminal Redevelopment Project. This week, the 4 companies that have submitted proposals for a terminal at KCI turned in their financial plans. The 4 proposers are Burns & McDonald KCI Hometown Team, Edgemore Infrastructure and Real Estate LLC, JLL, which is Jones Lang LaSalle Midwest LLC, and KCI Partnership LLC, which is led by AECom Capital. Each company will give a presentation on their proposal before the selection committee on August 14th. The committee will then evaluate the proposals and select a preferred proposer. The City Council is also discussing ballot language in expectation that residents would vote on a new terminal question in November. Stay updated with the latest news on the airport proposal at kcmo.gov/newkci. The Veterans Community Project, the largest community of tiny houses in the country, is getting one step closer to opening thanks to help from PIAC and the Water Department. This video explains the city's involvement in a new sewer project that includes private construction work that benefits the veterans.
We are here today to celebrate the breaking of ground for the sanitary sewer that will serve the Veterans Village, some 50 tiny homes that will home our vets.
For this part of the country, we are grateful that you've chosen this part and this piece of land to do what you're doing.
After today, the sewers will be laid, and then after that, we can then rebuild the terrain and put the houses back up. And we've already built, 12 of the tiny homes, so they're ready to go and house our homeless veterans who want to be housed, and that's what we're looking forward to have happen. The goal is to have people living in these homes by Thanksgiving time frame so that they can be in for the cold weather.
We're doing it for the veterans. It's our opportunity to serve those who have served us.
Wipes clean your kitchen, your bathroom, even your body. But how they're disposed of has become the subject of a national debate.
So they get in there and they catch on to anything and they just start piling up.
Some labels say the wipes are flushable and they will go down the toilet. However, the problem is they don't break down. In late June, wipes, along with trash and debris, plugged one pump and damaged another at KC Water's Burlington Creek wastewater pump station. This caused wastewater to bypass the station and spill directly into Burlington Creek. Repairs, which were costly and time-consuming, have been made. Shonda Marshall, a KC Water maintenance supervisor, discovered the problem and helped with repairs. She says a neighbor's experience shows flushing wipes is also a risk to homeowners.
And her line plugged up, and when they went in there and they called the company and they came out and they snaked it, it was full of them. So it flushed, but it went in and it was trees over there, so it grabbed a hold of the roots and they just build up and build up and build up, and it flooded her basement.
This problem isn't specific to Kansas City. Utilities from Atlanta and Detroit to San Antonio and Wichita are dealing with the problems wipes cause to sewer systems. The biggest example of the damage wipes can do may be in London. When homeowners complained they couldn't flush their toilets, workers sent a camera into the sewers and found this: a bus-sized lump of food fat mixed with wipes. Repairs took more than a month. The District of Columbia is getting serious about wipes. This year, the Council of the District of Columbia passed the first legislation in the U.S. to address the problems caused by flushable and non-flushable wipes. Now, NACWA, the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, will work with other groups to establish flushability standards for flushable wipes and labeling requirements for non-flushable wipes. If you use wipes, throw them away. The toilet is not a trash can. The only things that should go down the toilet are number 1, number 2, and toilet paper. Everything else?
Just throw them away. Throw them away.
For KC Water, I'm Brooke Givens.
We were given a tour of the material recovery facility. We saw the basics from the time the recyclables get into the facility and the final stage, how it's built.
Goes into our pre-sort area, where we have individuals actually hand sorting prohibitives out of the system, like bags, wrap, large rigid items, big pieces of metal, wood, things that would of course cause issues with the system. The system then passes through a OCC or cardboard screen, where the hope is that the cardboard goes across the screens and your fiber and plastics fall down and go through the remaining part of the system.
One thing we noticed throughout the entire process is, although that the material on the curb is collected, when it gets to the facility, it's sorted out into different commodities: plastic, aluminum, cardboards, and paper. One thing we learned in our tour today is that the contamination level is very high. We saw a lot of plastics and metals and items, styrofoam, that's just not acceptable in the recycling bin.
The biggest challenge is getting the contaminants out of the system before it goes through and could cause a catastrophic failure or a downtime event. When that material goes through, it can wrap around a shaft. When you're talking plastic, you have big pieces of metal that might make it through or bypass through the system, which should jam or clog any type of the equipment that we have here, which of course is going to cause some sort of event that's going to take the system down. We're only as good as the time we're up.
The one thing about KCMO residents, we do recycle. We're avid recyclers. However, some of us may be a little too enthusiastic about our recycling, so consequently we put stuff in the bins that's not recyclable. So if we would just take the time and to be more intentional and figure out what are the acceptable materials on the curb, we can do a better job at recycling.
You guys put the message out there. You definitely do talk to the citizen and get that information to the citizen so that they understand what's good and what's bad, what to put in, what not to put in. The problem that I think we have for both of us is we're still talking about the citizen, and that individual makes their own decision.
This plant is a great partnership for the city because it allows the city of Kansas City to meet its recycling goals. Everything collected on the curb is recycled and processed at this plant.
At the end of the day, every pound, every ounce of material that you are taking out of the true waste stream is going to reduce the amount of landfill that you use. So you're essentially, again, taking an aspect of saving the environment.
Crossroads Music Fest is coming up in a few weeks with over 40 performers and 9 stages, and it's supported by the Neighborhood Tourist Development Fund. Today we are at the Record Bar at 1520 Grand, which is one of the 9 stages, and we're here with the founder, Bill Sundahl, of the Crossroads Music Fest. Bill, thanks for taking time to talk to us today about the fest. Now, what was it that made you decide to start the festival, and why the Crossroads?
Well, I started it for very selfish reasons. I was in a band and wanted to put on a show where people would come see our band, and the Crossroads is the natural part of the city. I mean, it started 13 years ago in 2005, and the art scene was just growing around here, and it made perfect sense. We started it right behind Grinders, where Crossroads is now, and it was the perfect time and perfect place to start something like this, and it's really grown far away from my selfish endeavor to try and get people to see our band into a place to showcase region's artists every September.
And how do you go about selecting the musicians and the performers that will participate?
Well, I go see a lot of live music, and I try to cover as many genres as possible and try and give people a real cross-section of what is going on every year in the region. Essentially, I try to curate a show so they don't have to do what I do and go see a bunch of bands and sit through things that they might not, care so much about or whatever, but to try and bring the very best of, and again, it's really important to me to be diverse in that there's females are represented and different styles of music, reggae, country, folk, bluegrass, rock and roll, you name it. We've probably had some of it, hip hop and salsa, and we try to cover as much ground as we can.
That's great. So when you're in the Crossroads, you can go hop from a location to location. You could walk, but there's also transportation.
Right. So yeah, Barley Bus is going to be running a loop. It's the first year we've done that, so I'm very excited. So thanks to Jake at Barley Bus for doing that. It's going to be but they're all within 2.5 blocks of each other. We've never had any problems without transportation. It's just sort of an added thing that we're going to do this year.
Well, good. And if a musician is wanting to participate next year, perhaps, how would they go about doing that?
They would go to kcmo.gov and just go to the contact page, and it's got my email address, and just send me your information, your EPK, and whatever you've got, some videos, and try and get me to come see your show, because I always like to see, what we're getting.
Sure. And in addition to the musical performances, you have other things that are happening that are even family friendly.
Right. So yeah, this year we're having pop-up shops at Josie Records, and so in the parking lot south of Josie Records, which is just north of 19th and Oak, and then day parties as well. So those will all be free and family friendly, and so we'll have makers and sponsors booths, and KKFI will have a booth, and then just free music from 11 to 5, and then the festival starts on at 6. And those are plenty of all ages venues at the festival as well. Because that's another thing that I've really grown very passionate about, is getting young folks out to see music, to experience it, and think of that as a career. Mm-hmm. We're also doing a Mix Masters, a music conference that we're bringing to the festival this year, and so it's been going on for 3 years in Lawrence, and we're starting that at from 11 to 5 as well. So if you're a musician who's interested in furthering your career, it's panel discussions, workshops, live performance pieces as well.
That's great. So if you're another way of getting in to kind of dabble to see if this is a career for you is volunteering.
That's right.
So how would one go about volunteering?
You would just go to that same cmfkc.com, the contact page, and it's got Rhonda Lyons' information. She's the director of the Midwest Music Foundation and is our volunteer coordinator as well for the festival, and has been for years, and she's very easy to work with, and she would definitely try and find a job that's suited to your skills. Just go to cmfkc.com, and that's got all the schedule, artists, pop-up shops, everything we're doing this year.
Great. Well, thank you for all that you're doing for the music community and the community at large.
Oh, thank you, and thanks to the city for supporting events like this that really do add to the fabric of our city.
Our pleasure.
The Neighborhood Tourist Development Fund supports local nonprofits that bring cultural, social, educational, and recreational activities to our area. about additional upcoming events, visit kcmo.gov/ntdf.
My name's Maggie, and I've been a full-time keeper here at the Kansas City Zoo for about 2 years, and a keeper total for about 5. I'm on the Water's Edge team, which means that I work with Berlin the polar bear, the otters, the trumpeter swans, and the penguins, and the fish in the aquariums in the penguin building. So when I wanted to become a zookeeper, I can pretty much remember the exact moment. I was originally going to school at NYU. I was over studying abroad in Italy, and I saw a video of somebody putting radio collars on a polar bear to track them in the wild, and I was like, holy crap, people can work with animals for a living, and that's not just a dream. So I immediately transferred schools, went back to Wisconsin, which had a great natural resources program, and the rest is history. The most difficult part of being a zookeeper is probably trying to turn your passion for what you're doing into an accessible format for visitors, and to really get your passion across to people is, one of the main things that you want to do to make sure that they love animals as much as you do. But everyone comes at it with different points of views, and it still always makes up for it when you do reach the 1 person in 10 and make them fall in love with polar bears. My favorite part is probably the otters and the polar bears. No matter what kind of day I'm having, if I go and spend time with Berlin or Dakota and Ariel, they're just hams that always put a smile on my face.
We'd all like to experience world cultures, but it's hard to find the time or money for a round-the-world trip. Instead, you can visit Swope Park the weekend of August 18th through 20th for the Ethnic Enrichment Festival. Experience the arts, crafts, music, and dancing of more than 60 cultures for just $5. Children 12 and under get in free. The festival is held near the front entrance of the park at Meyer Boulevard and Swope Parkway. Parking is free. For a complete list of scheduled events and other information, visit eeckc.net. The 4th annual Charlie Parker celebration kicks off August 17th. The 10-day celebration includes events throughout the city. Featured performers include saxophonist Tavon Petticott and acclaimed pianist Sullivan Fortner. For a complete schedule and to purchase tickets, go to charlieparkercelebration.com. Do you like to take selfies? On Tuesday, August 15th, we'd like you to tweet or Snapchat a picture of you and your peeps in front of your favorite city building. It can be City Hall or any other city facility. Include a few words describing what you love most about KC and tag us at KCMO. Use the hashtag City Hall Selfie Day. You can also post it on our Facebook page. Now, if you don't use Twitter or Facebook, but you still want to join the fun, then email us at communications@kcmo.org and we'll post it for you. And Twitter peeps, be sure to use our Twitter ribbon to let everyone know how much you love KC. That does it for this edition of the Weekly Report. To view this program again or other Channel 2 videos, just go to kcmo.gov and search Channel 2. That page has a link to our YouTube channel where you can view our programs on demand. I'm Chris Hernandez. See you next time.